something that we pass down and teach. Now, I'm not saying that is intentional, It's the same way when you're raising a toddler and they come home one day cursing and you're like,
Yeah.
where the hell did you learn that? And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, from you,
Right. Yeah.
So it's
I learned it from you, Dad. Theory of sociology, I think, is a very good one, because we just got it. Human beings are great copy machines. That's what
great copy machines.
We go around doing that like all the time, especially when we're young. But that's our go-to. Like when we have to do something that we've never done before, the first thing we do is like, how did somebody else do it? That's just like how we figure the world out. And if we have a bad or non-functional or abusive template, which we're adopting for ourselves, then everything that we do is going to carry those same characteristics with it.
Absolutely. And it's hard to know what to do sometimes. It's hard to know how to navigate it. But for me, just sort of becoming aware has been helpful. And then sort of trying to figure out, well, what does that awareness mean? Where do we owe ourselves grace? Where do we owe ourselves understanding? How can we be better? Sure. But at what point do we just need to accept our circumstances and let it go?
Yeah.
I think so much is outside of our control and understanding. It could be really maddening to sort of contemplate.
Yeah. We can't control everything, but we have the ability to affect and guide, the environment around us, and the greater degree to which we engage in that process, the better for us. My wife tells me something often before we go to bed, which is, dream about how you would like things, and, dream about it in detail, and think about the way that you would like things to be. And she's like, in the last year or so, she's told me that a lot. And I think that's a critical thing, whether it's literally before you're going to sleep or just like take time, God, if you have the time, or the moments that you do have, to think about, how do you want things to be? How do you want your life to be? How do you want the world around you to look? And I think that is, to the degree that we can get that time, to the degree that we have it, it's important to claim, and it's an important process to engage in.
I tell my students all the time, what rich people call thinking, poor people call daydreaming.
Yeah.
And you need to carve out time for yourself to daydream, because daydreaming is really when you break free of sort of the constraints of your circumstances, and you can conceive of what's possible.
Yeah. And in focusing on the world in which kind of all things are possible, even though, again, increasingly they're being encroached upon.
Otherwise, right?
I think that you've made an important, statement in this book, and I really thank you for staking that claim, writing this book, and putting it out there into the world, because I think the way in which you do it not only says something about the particular time in which we live, and the particular stratum of late capitalism in which we're immersed, but also about how it's important to either dream or daydream in order to change what you can around you. And if enough people do that, we'll push things in a better direction that makes life good, or at least improved for all of us. So thank you for that. Thank you for Jonathan Abernathy. You are kind. There's so many other things that we could say about the plot of this. And maybe we can revisit it like when I've actually, finished the entire book. But I'm really enjoying it. As I said before we went on, I read books so slowly, and sometimes I'll get 20 pages into a book and says, oh, I don't know if I ever this I'm gobbling it up, at least by the standards that I read books, which is
Thanks.
which is ploddingly. So Molly
There
McGhee,
is no wrong way to read a book.
thank you, and I and as an auditory person, as someone who has listened to and been very focused on radio and now podcasting for a long time, I often do it that way. But this is one of the ones that I physically have, and I'm very glad to have. Molly McGhee, thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you.
The book is Jonathan Abernathy, You Are Kind. Check this out. It is a really important book. It is unique. It is imaginative. It is critical and thoughtful. And thank you for producing it, and thank you for being with us today on Facepalm America.
Oh, thanks so much.
Up next, I want to talk to you about workplace inequality. I'm Beowulf Rockland. This is Facepalm America. Back in a moment. Facepalm America, I'm Beowulf Rockland. Workplace inequality. How does the way we work perpetuate racism? One of the things that Molly McGhee and I were just talking about is how the structures that we carry with us and build in human society and that we have inside of us as human beings perpetuate things that aren't necessarily very good for us in many ways and can be very harmful to us. That can be sexism, that can be homophobia, that can be racism, it can be classism. And it's important to pay attention to things that we think as natural, that have kind of formed the room of our minds and could go down to the level of just the very words that we use. And those things are very difficult to change because they seem so personal to us. But we have to look at them nevertheless, because sometimes it's necessary to go to that level to dig out the things that truly impede us as human beings. And so in the next few days, we're going to be talking to Adia Harvey Wingfield. She's written a book called Gray Areas, How the Way We Work Perpetuates Racism and What We Can Do to Fix it. And I urge you to join us in the next few days to listen to that. I think it's going to be a fascinating conversation. If you have enjoyed this episode, I would like you to post a link to it in your social media, wherever you are on social media, so that other folks can hear about it. That helps us grow this show. It helps us to keep doing what we're doing. I want to thank the producers of this program, Ace Elson and Rosabelle Hine. They do a fantastic job. And until next time, enjoy the day.